Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Liberty. Right here at the SHI Media Network. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Sorry about the intro being a little weird. My machine didn't want a machine for some reason. But we'll deal with it. We'll get through it. Thank you to everyone who's in the chat room already. Holy cow. Cosmic Bard, BZ, Canadian Heavy Hall, Mission Ready Man, The Phantom. Am I missing anyone? Ricky will pop in a few minutes and yell that he's here. If you want to join the chat, you can go to SHR Media YouTube. Just click on the live. You can be in the chat room on the live chat. Participate with the other awesome listeners who are in there. Got a lot to talk about. Monday night, I was like, this is going to be a pretty heavy show because it's going to be, a lot about the rioting and all that stuff. And I was like, but Wednesday night, I'll find something light and breezy. I'll try to make it fun, a little bit more my speed, the sarcasm, the bad jokes, all the shit that you come to know me for, right? Right. Well, maybe not. Earlier today, a lot of U.S. bases in the Middle East went on high alert. Which ones, you may ask? Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, Al Dafara Air Base in the UAE, NSA Bahrain, Camp Arif Jan in Kuwait, and Ali Al Salam in Kuwait, Ain Al Assad and Erbil Air Base in Iraq, Al Tanf Garrison Syria, holy jeez, and a radar sites in Israel. All of a sudden put on high alert today. This as negotiations between the U.S. and Iran over their nuclear program is not going well. You had an oil price surge of 5%. U.S. cyber forces elevated to DEFCON 3 because, as we know, hey, Mike Pasqua's in the chat room. Welcome, Mike. The Phantom, again, hello. I'm getting caught up. And all the regional embassies worked on limited access. What's interesting is that the U.S. military, Pete Hegseth, authorized voluntary evacuations of family members. Thank you, BZ. Said in the chat room, you can't believe I was unable to rattle off those names of the bases smooth like butter. Yeah, I practiced. I read my notes before. But yeah, Hegseth authorized family members to voluntarily evacuate. Some of the embassies are being evacuated, particularly Baghdad, Erbil, Manama, and Bahrain. And then Kuwait City as well. Pentagon says we are in a defensive posture only, which would make sense if we're not the ones who would be doing the potential attacking. Who would be, you might ask? You probably aren't asking because everybody knows. Israel. Let's see here. CBS News posted earlier, Israel is poised to launch operation on Iran, multiple sources tell CBS News. This was only 7:14 p.m. Story goes on to say U.S. officials have been told Israel is fully ready to launch an operation into Iran, multiple sources told CBS News. The U.S. anticipates Iran could retaliate on certain American sites in neighboring Iraq. This is part of the reason the U.S. advised some Americans to leave the region earlier Wednesday, with the State Department ordering non emergency governmental officials to exit Iraq due to heightened regional tensions. President Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff is planning to meet with Iran for a 6 round of talks on the country's nuclear program in the coming days. Mr. Trump spoke about an Iran appearance at the an appearance at the Kennedy Center on Wednesday, telling reporters Americans were advised to leave the region because it could be a dangerous place and we'll see what happens. Mr. Trump also reiterated that the U.S. did not want the Iran to develop a nuclear weapon, saying, "We're not going to allow that." So, as I'm doing my research, and I'm going to get into a lot more details about the potential attack, blah, 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 blah. But it's funny the stories that kind of fall under the wayside that you just don't really, it just goes by in a flash. As I'm looking up Iran stories, did anybody see this? This was posted at 6:24 p.m. Pacific time. Ex-CIA analyst who admitted leaking docs about the Israel strike on Iran gets 37 months in prison. I haven't heard thing one about that story before. Not one. Nothing. I haven't heard the arrest. I haven't heard that come up before. Nothing. But unless it was a plea deal and it was a quick turnaround, that tells me Cosmic Bard says, "Whoa, yes, I'm an arsehole. Ha ha ha." I love it when people admit that. But yeah, that tells me that this arrest initially happened, an investigation initially happened under the previous administration. It's June. This is a federal case involving espionage and an ex-CIA analyst. The arrest wasn't made a month ago and now it went to trial. Even plea deals take longer than this. And maybe, look, I'll admit, I don't catch every news story. I try. But this is one that I kind of thought I would have had a little bit of a heads up on. I am following social media. I had a couple of the other hosts from SHR, BZ, Jersey Joe. I sent it in our little chat room saying, "Hey, if you guys see anything that could be relative to the potential Israeli attack on Iran, please let me know." I pulled up Flight Radar 24. One of the things I've been able to learn, I'm not great at predicting all of this or seeing all of this, but on Flight Radar 24, it kind of shows you when there's an incident in a region, let's just say here, usually you see Syria, there's no flights over Syria. Iraq, there's not a lot of flights in the western side of the country. I'm sorry, yeah, on the western side of the country. There is some on the east. All the way down to Kuwait's clear. Now, the nuclear bases are strewn all over Tehran, Iran, rather. But I believe they're down close to the Gulf, buried into the mountains. Now, I, again, don't know every in and out of the Iran nuclear base. I'd be making a hell of a lot more money. But you see, flights over Israel are pretty normal. This tells me that there's not, the chance isn't as high as maybe people are thinking for tonight. Because if it was, they usually clear the airspace over Jordan. There are some people who've reported seeing, let me pull up my bookmarks here, some American military tankers in the region. Here's one. U.S. Air Force KC-135 Stratotanker takes off from Saudi Arabia, switch transponders off immediately after takeoff. And as you go down just all of the lists tonight of just things, and look, I know there are some people who are over exaggerating things. I know there's some people that when they get on X, they're like, oh, there's a military plane, blah, blah. There's always a tanker up, especially in that region. There are always jets up, especially in that region. There's a lot of training going on. There's a lot of partner countries you do work with. The U.S. Air Force is always training, especially for air refueling, because it's one of the most dangerous things that they do. I'm hearing in the chat room, BZ said that one commentator had mentioned tomorrow on the attack, and that's possible. IL Red Alert, not a lot of confidence in this reporting. Iraqis are reporting a noticeable rise in military activity. That could also be American helos and aircraft evacuating people. We know they're evacuating people from the region. OSINT Defender, who I would say about 90% of the time has a pretty good pulse on what's going on in the Middle East, is reporting what CBS is reporting, that Israel is ready to launch. So as we start to go through, and we see a lot of this, right? When there are potentials, we see a lot of people postulating and wondering and articulating as to why they think it's coming, why they think it's not coming. I'll tell you who thinks it's coming is the Islamic Republic of Iran, who posted on their X, "We are ready, hashtag Iran." Pretty bold move, considering if you looked at the last set of airstrikes on Iran that Israel did, they took out all of their air defense. And that was what, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, maybe? All of it. Their air defense was left with a couple of ADAC guns and maybe a radar or two. As a matter of fact, that was what Israel was focused on most of the time. They hit a couple of drone facilities, but they went in early, as you do. This is what we did when we went into Iraq the first time. You go in early and you take out the air defense. You take out the radar systems, the missile launching sites, all of that stuff. You clear the path for the people that are going to be taking out whatever the objective is. I am sure Iran replaced some of it by now via China, North Korea, and maybe from Russia. I don't know if Russia's parting ways with too much high-tech military equipment, but it's nowhere to what it was, which tells me, and this is just a guess, that Israel would have free reign over Iran whenever it wanted, because I'm sure they would send out the anti-radar guns, planes, pardon me, to attack the ground radars, attack the missile launching bases that are there. We know they can identify them easily because they did it just recently. I'm sure they'll still send that first wave out to make sure that the path is clear. But it won't take them long. So for those who don't know, and I'm going to give you a little history on why Israel might be attacking Iran. Iran has been building a nuclear program for a while now. If you've heard this, stick with me. We'll move on. Just chat amongst each other in the chat room. Part of the thing that I think just about nobody wants in this world, because we see it with Russia. Look at what we're doing with Russia now. One of the reasons everybody is kids glove with Russia is because they get nukes. Same thing with North Korea. They may not have wonderful trajectory far launch nukes, but they have the power. Pakistan, India, it's why the whole world's keisters tightened up last month when they were going at it. China, right? Being a nuclear power gets you a different seat at the table. According to BZ, thank you for sharing this. This is important. It's currently 4:45 a.m. in Tehran, with the sun set to rise in about 30 minutes around 4:45. Just because Israel is now ready to strike doesn't mean it'll happen tonight. Correct. They will not do it during the day. It will be night. So if things aren't on the ground here in the next, I don't know, 30 minutes, then I'm going to say that it is not going to be tonight. But a nuclear Iran is incredibly dangerous. Now, we could have done stuff about this in past administrations, including the Trump administration. All they did was capitulate, make agreements that we knew Iran was never going to live up to for the inspections, yada, yada, yada. which is what they had. We sent them a tons of pallets of money under the Obama administration. We've done nothing to really stifle them. Russia's giving them technology. They're getting equipment from China. They're getting equipment from Russia. They're getting technology and information and intel. Everything. Sorry. Yeah, Sean can't be that drunk. He's pronouncing a couple of hot ahs. My bad. It happens. Everything that they say they've done to deter Iran has not been enough. And Iran has pushed closer and closer to now. There are some experts out there who say that they could already have a bomb right now. Some other experts say they're a couple of months away. Nobody really knows why, because we're not allowed in there to inspect. So we know why it's dangerous, because they're nuclear armed, right? We also know they're a hostile, volatile regime who wants to wipe Israel and the great Satan America off the face of the planet. Now, does that mean day one that they have a bomb, they could do that? Not with America, potentially with Israel. Do you trust the Iranian leaders to have a cool enough head? Look, every single time Rocket Man in North Korea gets mad, everyone kind of goes, yeah, what's he going to do? Right? Because he's a 35-year-old, 16-year-old, petulant, fat, chubby kid, right? He's literally a kid who, girls would make fun of in high school, even now. The only people not making fun of him are the ones who are around him constantly. They're afraid they're going to die. Iran, and it's about him maintaining power, his family maintaining power. Iran is a different animal because they're Islamists. They're religious ideologues who believe the entire fucking planet should be Muslim or dead. I mean, I seriously, that's when you break it down, that is who Iran is. Now, are they a little bit more political savvy than that? Sure. Does that mean they're trustworthy? Absolutely fucking not. And when all this started, specifically under the Biden administration, we entered the Iran nuclear deal. We, as a nation, not us, not you, but as a nation, we have to own this, did nothing but capitulate. They were turning the UN nuclear inspectors away. They were given excuses, or they were showing them things that were not at all what they were supposed to be there to inspect. It was all bullshit. Why? Because you cannot fucking trust them. I don't know why we continue to act, and I get there's politics behind this. I get there's policy behind this. I don't know why we continue to act in a way that treats Israel with any fucking dignity. I'm sorry, Iran, not Israel. Iran with any fucking dignity. And, whether you pro-Israel, against Israel, whatever, put all of that aside for a second. Just put it aside. Let's say you are Israel and Iran, who, by the way, does nothing but arm the proxies around you, being Israel, Hezbollah to the north, Hamas, the Houthis, others, Syria, some of the rebels in Syria, that shoot missiles and attack you and murder you and kill you. And all of them have sworn that they want to wipe you off the planet. How long would you wait? That's a serious question you have to ask yourself. If that was you, not, oh, I don't like Israel because of blah, blah, blah. No. You are in charge. You were born and raised in Israel. Snap the fingers. You're in charge of the country. How long would you wait? They've already launched missile attacks. Granted, they weren't overly successful because they were drones flying at 120 miles an hour. But a cruise missile nuclear tipped would be a lot different. It doesn't have to go far. What's it, 500-600 miles, 700 miles? And you have to understand the mindset of the mullahs and the leaders, Khomeini and all those in Iran, the lunatics. Their mindset is if they die in battle, they're martyrs and go to heaven and get the 72 virgins. Now, nobody ever said they're going to be women. They just said virgins. So that could play to our advantage at some point, but we don't want to get there. We don't want to get there. We got to fucking find a way around this now. I've said before on this show, I do not want American boots on the ground, and I do not want Americans at war. In certain situations, am I willing to support people that would do things that would benefit us and them? Yes. In certain situations. In other situations, absolutely not, i.e., Ukraine. It's a very different set of circumstances. Russia, Putin, he just wants the land, but he's also, I don't think, willing to die for it. I don't think he's willing to do a tactical nuke. I don't think he's willing to send a nuke because he knows it'll be mutual destruction. I don't think any of that's going to happen. Russia is going to stick to what they've been doing, which is getting their ass kicked by a country half their size with a quarter of the military. It won't spiral out of control, I don't think, because Putin's a lot of things, but he is a crazy narcissist who wants to live forever and rule the old Soviet Union once again. Khomeini and the mullahs are very different people. Yes. Are they wanting power? Absolutely. Are they brutal? Yes. But they have that caveat of religion. And religious extremists have a tendency to do shit that defies logic because they'll die for their cause without thinking twice about it. Go back to 9/11. I understand that they were from Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of questions there. Yes, I acknowledge all of that. But those guys that were on those planes that hijacked the planes were Islamist extremists. They were willing to commit suicide to further the cause and be martyrs. Martyrs. So it's a very different tone with Iran than it is with Russia. Because Iran, the leaders are batshit crazy. Absolutely batshit crazy. It's I'm going to date myself a little bit here. You guys remember the old Libyan leader? He was a little fucking nutty too, right? Remember Gaddafi showed up in New York to speak at the UN and he pitched tents all over the park, Central Park. He had all the fucking female bodyguards. Lunatic, cuckoo, crazy. Always had been. Pan Am Flight 103, the bombing in Germany, the Marine. He's a fucking nutcase. If he was this close to fucking nuclear weapons, the world would be like, absolutely fucking not. You're a lunatic. You've proven it time again because you're kooky and dangerous. Well, Iran is not kooky, but they're far more fucking dangerous. See, Gaddafi was a narcissist. He was Muslim, but he was kind of like the Saddam Hussein Muslim, where it was like, yeah, all of those things are kind of cool in the religion, but really I just want to be a strong man. Cosmic Bard. Yes, pitch in a very different tent. Oh, he did come into line. BZ put out a good point about Gaddafi. He eventually came into line because it benefited him. And then actually, when he was in line and we were making headway with him, Hillary decided it was time to kill him, overthrow the country, and we saw how that worked out. But yeah, Gaddafi was like Saddam Hussein, where dangerous, sure, but he was all about himself. It was all about, I mean, the name and lights and standing on top of a fucking gold building with 100,000 people in front of him. That was who they were. Iran is not that. Iran is not that. They absolutely would have no problem wiping the entire earth for their cause, in my humblest of opinions. They are a nation run by Islamist extremists. That is why they arm all of these fucking proxies that fight for them. That is why they will absolutely donate weapons all over the place for anyone who says, hey, I'd like to attack America. Hey, I'd like to attack Israel. Here's your AK-47, buddy. Go, 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 go. That's what they do. Here's a missile. Go, 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 go. Here's technology. Go, 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 go. They don't give a shit. Do I want conflict? No. Sometimes does conflict have to happen and we don't have to be a part of it and still benefit from it? Yeah. And this is one of those situations. And Israel's Air Force has proven that they can do it. Now, the biggest holdup with this is, by all accounts, everywhere that counts as far as Iran's nuclear capability, their production, their computers, all their facilities are allegedly buried deep in mountains, which would be a smart thing to do. If you saw Top Gun Maverick, that might have been a little hint of who the country was supposed to be in that movie that they never said. So it would be a huge task. Could Israel do it? I don't have the answer. I believe if they have the capability, they would be successful. I don't know if they have the capability. I have a feeling we're giving them everything that they would need to have the capability. And as I'm reading through right now, I'm seeing a lot of posturing statements from different people. I haven't seen anything, and I know the guys are checking in the chat as well. I haven't seen anything that suggests anything is happening or has happened. So I am guessing that it will not be tonight, but it'll definitely be a story we'll have to watch. And tomorrow night, you may want to tune into BZ's show, the Berserk Bobcat Saloon, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, right here on the SHI Media Network. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's how you do a promo, folks. That's how you fucking do a promo. But it's definitely going to be something we're going to have to look into. And telling you, man, when news just comes through, it comes through like a fire hose. Because now I'm watching up here, I'm watching the LA riots. And I'm going to cover this more in depth after the break. It looks like they're starting to make arrests for the curfew. They made arrests in front of City Hall. They're clearing out parks and the Civic Center. So I'm monitoring that. I'm trying to keep an eye on that as well. And I get other stories. I'd have other stories. But when we come back, we're going to talk about the Soy Boys. The most soyiest boys fucking going, which is Swalwell and Kinzinger. Right here on the SHI Media Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
Ever dream of escaping the daily grind? At Escapist Travel and Tours, we make those dreams your reality. From breathtaking adventures to cultural immersions, we offer escapes tailored just for you. Let us take you to places where every moment feels like a new chapter in your life's adventure. Visit www.escapist.travel or call us today at 1-855-885-81776. Your escape awaits.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the SHI Media Network. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's catch up with some of the chat. There's so much going on. I don't know if I can get up to all of it, but going back to Cosmic Pod. There is a Boston accent. Yes, there is. Let's see. Yeah, all jumped all over the place on this. We're talking about the tents that Gaddafi pitched in Central Park. Cosmic Pod says, "Hey, wait, that's a different tent." Yes, it is. Yes, sir. You would have to promote SHI on my shows and pronounce it like I do. SHI. Of course, Canadian Kevin Hall. It's pronounced SHI. I've known you for. Well, Canadian Kevin Hall in the chat says, I've known you for how long now, Sean? I still don't got the accent. You don't got the accent, but that's because you have to undo your accent. You got that northern accent, eh? Oh, jeez. Yeah, shoosh. Stop in for a cup of Timmy's or whatever it is. Once you undo that, move to the right side of the border. If you move to the right side of the border, you have a better chance of getting a real accent. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to two of the saddest, you already know these, but the saddest, most soyiest men on the planet. And here's the first one.
Hey, Congressman,
What's going on?
what the fuck is up with Rep. McIver being indicted?
You know what? That's some bullshit. She was at an ICE facility, which is her right as a member of Congress. It's in the law that she can inspect an ICE facility. And what they do, this is what Donald Trump wanted. They drew the foul. They escalated the situation. And you know what? Here's my prediction. She is going to either have the case dismissed or be acquitted. But this tracks with a president who goes after his political enemies. She will not be the last. We have to stand with her as a caucus and say, you mess with her, you mess with all of them.
Have you ever been less intimidated? Any females watching this, I am very sorry to the fact that your ovaries just dried up and exploded out of your body. That I apologize for that. I couldn't do it. How did that guy? Well, this goes to show you that you can hook up with hot Asian chicks as long as you're a member of Congress and they have information they can get out of you. So that's Eric Swalwell. Once again, notice the cussing. We've seen this more and more with the left. We've seen it ever since they polled horribly with men because they put up Tim Walz. Yay! Right? And they were going to use Olivia Giuliana to somehow get young males involved with the Democratic Party. So now they're moving to this cussing thing, drinking that's some bullshit. Dude, nobody in their right mind believes that any part of you is a tough guy that you portray. Remember the taco eating incident a couple weeks ago? Where he's eating the taco. Like, just knock it off. He is, I'll tell you, he's all over social media. He is the most annoying son of a bitch that's in Congress because I think he really thinks he comes off as a tough guy. That he comes off as some alpha male when he is like the most beta son of a bitch. He was the kid who struck out in kickball, right? He was the kid that in high school, if he did 7 minutes in heaven with a girl, 30 seconds in, she'd slap him in the face because he kissed her ear. He just, or shoulder. You can just tell that he doesn't track with normal people. He's not fucking normal. He's an absolute disgrace. And he's been putting out, she was in the chat room. He's been putting out these videos, acting real tough, acting real strong. And this is something all Dems are doing because they know everyone knows they were beta males. There was a post earlier today, and I'm looking for it, from Adam Kinzinger, who is, God, he's not only a beta male, I'm almost positive he's a cuck. I'm pretty sure he sits in the cuck chair at night. You remember Adam? he's a big, we should bomb Russia on behalf of Ukraine and we should send Ukraine troops into Ukraine guy. He claims because he's in the military that he is somehow better than the rest of us and knows well. He was involved, remember during the campaign, his friend was running for senator, I think it was Missouri, and they set up this gun shoot to make it look like they're real tough guys and they're shooting rifles and yada, yada, yada. And both he, who is in the military, and his friend, who's supposed to be a Marine, they set up steel targets on hangars and then they shot at them 5 feet away. And a ricochet caught from one of the rifles, caught a news reporter that was covering the event, right? This is who Adam Kinzinger is. He accidentally failed up in life. He's not intelligent. He's not smart. His biggest go-to now to get attention, he's going to run for something. He's not done. He's hanging around for a reason. You remember he was on the January 6th. He's just a waste of fucking space. And by the way, when you go onto his X, he's lifted because everyone's giving him shit. He used to not allow comments unless he followed you. He's removed that. But as soon as you say anything, because the blue and yellow flag people are like cranking that dude off, and that's the only reason he's popular anymore is because of those dudes. As soon as you say anything about him, there's a 90% chance that he's going to sick the blue and yellow flag people all over you. All over you. So he puts out this post earlier. It says, Gavin Newsom should activate the rest of the National Guard in the state. That way Trump can't do it. And I put it out, I said, you got to read between the lines. If you look at the temperature in this country right now, and you look at all the rhetoric that's coming out from the left, you had Newsom's video last night that was supposed to be about the LA riots, wasn't about the LA riots. It was all about Trump, because he's in their head 24/7. You look at all of these, we have to keep fighting, we have to keep doing this, all of this encouragement to these protests, to these riots that have been going on in LA and they're spreading to other areas. And then on the 14th, you have the big No Kings event going up, right? Yeah, or he just blocks you, as Mission Ready Men said in the chat room. But it seems like they're trying to encourage this violence. Now, I brought this out Monday night, and we've seen more of it since. Kinzinger seemed to suggest, hey, maybe you should raise your own army to stand up to Trump's army. He didn't say those words. But why else would he want to call up the National Guard? What's Trump going to do if he calls up the entire California National Guard? Right? Stop the riots? And by the way, even news agencies are admitting today, and I've seen it twice, that the Army National Guard and the Marines are only protecting federal facilities and employees. They are not, as I've said 100 times, they are not patrolling. You have a segment of Guard members that have been trained to assist ICE to protect them as they go on raids, because the amount of violence that have come up against federal agents, which is unfucking believable. I have never, it's so amazing that when it comes to protecting the wrong fucking people, the ends that Democrats will fucking go to. Attacking federal agents for arresting people who are in this country illegally, and the vast majority of times they have a fucking serious criminal record and you're defending them. You're defending them. And I try not to believe that you're so stupid that you believe you're doing the right thing, because I think the reality is you're just so anti-Trump that anything Trump does, you're going to react so viscerally to, so fucking over the top, and you don't give a fuck what it costs, because you are useful idiots for the progressive left. That's exactly what you are. Useful fucking idiots. They're criminals. They shouldn't be in the country. Biden allowed 10, 20, some say as high as 30 million illegals to flow over our border. It wasn't by accident. The only reason he started to clamp down at the end is because it was polling so fucking poorly. And it was the number one fucking issue in the last presidential fucking election. People were pissed about immigration. Why? There's a million reasons. Actually, there's 30 million reasons that I could go on all night. What the strain it puts on our school systems, the strains it puts on our hospitals, the fact that when you break it all down, you have Americans and legal immigrants who came here and busted their ass to be citizens and have the right to work and live here. And then you have 30 million who strolled over, many of which are either wanted for crimes in the country they came from, wanted for crimes here, committing crimes here, gang members. We've seen it over and over and over and over and over again. The media will put up the one or two sad stories. Oh, this child was separated from his parents. What does father do? Rape 12 other kids. But this is such a shame. We shouldn't separate families. Guess what? He'd get separated if he was a citizen. He'd be separated in the fucking state prison, right? It's unfortunate that the parents put these kids in this situation, but get fucking over it. Okay? It's unfortunate that the Democrats allowed this to happen and Biden allowed this to happen, but get over it. We have to deal with it now. The adults in the fucking room have to deal with it now. And that is to remove as many as we can. Why? We all know it fucks with our voting districts, electoral votes, all of that, because when they do the census, they don't ask if you're a citizen or not. And that is how we run our districts. That's how we do electoral colleges. It matters in the fucking future. The Democrats know that. That's why they brought it in. That's why 148 members of Congress, Democrats, voted against the prohibition to allow non-citizens to vote in D.C. that happened today. The D.C. wanted, and Democrats wanted non-citizens to be able to vote. D.C. is a district. Congress just decides the laws in the district. Congress was putting up a bill saying, hey, we are going to stop illegals voting in districts because it's illegal. It's against the law. It's not how our country's run. It's not how our country's founded. 148 Democrats said, no, that's not okay with me. They should be able to vote. California, I mentioned this before, last month, they tried to pass a bill to allow illegals to vote in state elections. No. It will erode our nation if they don't fucking do anything. Plain and simple. And we got to fucking do something. And for all of you fucking people who just, the poor, they're dreamers. How many are living in your fucking house right now? How many of those dreamers did you take in off the streets? Because we saw what happened in the vineyard. Remember when Texas sent 50 of them to the vineyard in Massachusetts, called out the National fucking Guard to deal with it, and got them off the vineyard in, 36 hours? And you had all the fucking rich white Democrat women go, oh my God, good luck. Here's a fucking bait thing. Get out of here. You didn't want them. You didn't want them. And there's a reason. Because you don't know who they are. Measles are going up. A couple other diseases that we had under control are going up. Why? Because all of these illegals are coming from areas completely unvaccinated, no health screening, nothing, just pouring over the border, spreading it everywhere. I did a show, 3 months ago, I was talking about legal immigration, where I brought up how many known terrorists or terrorist associates were caught, never mind the ones that weren't, that came into our nation. Never mind the Chinese. And how many of these military-aged men got here? Like, what's so big a deal about the Chinese? This week and last week that the Border Patrols arrested 3 Chinese citizens, probably all member of the military, for trying to smuggle in fungus that would destroy our crops up in Detroit. Well, that's an isolated incident. No. You go to Google, look at how many Chinese students have been arrested at schools for trying to smuggle out bioweapon information or bioweapon studies or biological studies that could be turned into weapons. Many of which were agents of the Chinese military? How about the Chinese police stations that were set up in this country? There's a fungus among us, BZ says. Yeah, not a good one. By the way, talk about the fungus among us. It's really weird. It's almost like when China's looking for a distraction because we're kicking their asses with tariffs and making them pay their own way and holding them accountable and a lot of shit. All of a sudden, they want to release something that would dramatically change this country, grind it to a halt, cause death, illness, and destruction, destroy our food system, and ruin our economy all at the same time. That's what I get from those three things. That's what they were trying to do. Where have I seen that before? All right, fucking COVID. I've said before, I think COVID was a bioweapon. I think it was released intentionally. The communist government of China does not give a fuck how many of its own people died in the process. They knew it would come over here. Why? Because Trump was renegotiating trade deals back then. And after they negotiated a trade deal that wasn't great for China, all of a fucking sudden, COVID hit, boom. And they were trying to do it again. They were fucking trying to do it again. Yeah, what if during a hack they could deactivate solar panels? Never mind solar panels. Our electric grid. China, I don't know how many times I have to say this. The Chinese government is a communist evil government. They're horrible people. They don't care about Americans. They don't care whether you live or die. It's all about them because they're communists. That's why Democrats wanted our mobile force to become more reliant on electrical vehicles. Yeah, 100% Cosmic Bard. I agree with that. And speaking of other governments and our immigration problems, you had President Scheinbaum, the Mexican president, essentially say, hey, keep protesting to the Mexicans that are here protesting in LA right now. And as I'm looking at the curfew, I see a couple hundred people marching down the street. I don't see law enforcement. I don't know where on this it is. They're not telling us. You can look at News to Share on YouTube. I'll look that up here shortly. But yeah, so you had Scheinbaum saying, hey, keep protesting, keep causing problems there because we want chaos over there because we don't like the remittance. And then you had a Mexican senator talking about how Mexico should take back California, half of Nevada, Arizona, up to Oregon, I think, because it was theirs at one point. Never mind the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. It's theirs. Oh, and by the way, it's so funny how many people are saying, oh, but it's the Mexicans' land. This used to be the Mexicans' land. Totally forgetting about the Native Americans that lived there first. It's funny how they just pull that card when it's convenient and not fucking convenient. It's just bullshit. This is just bullshit. I'm so sick and tired of seeing these liberals defend it. Maya Bass said today, she said today that there were 23 stores that were looted. This is, by the way, the woman who very recently said, oh, it was mostly peaceful. Remember all the mostly peaceful people I listed off in these riots the other night? The latest update on the injuries, 411 total arrests. There was weapons, tasers, lasers, Molotovs recovered. Injuries to 5, I believe they were police horses. 23 businesses looted, totaling about $134 million. But it was peaceful. It was mostly peaceful. And then she finally put a curfew into place, which, by the way, if it's mostly peaceful, why the fuck would you need a curfew, huh? Because they've been lying. Just like that piece of shit last night, Newsom. This is all Trump's fault. This is Trump's fault. This is Trump's fault. This is Trump's fault. Again, let's go back to the root cause. Fruit of the poisonous tree. This is Biden's fault. This is the Democrats' fault to encourage it. This is a leftist problem that we're dealing with now. And Ukraine was Russia's land. Yeah, exactly. Mexico was conquered by Spain. Oh, yeah. No, I know. All you guys are coming out with the history. You're 100% right. They also had war games in China in 2019? A bunch of soldiers came home sick with something doctors couldn't diagnose. Canadian Heavy Haul said that's correct. Canadian Heavy Haul, the Canadians know a lot about the CCCP in China, because rumors are they're running most of your country right now, if I'm not mistaken, or at least your government. A minimum of 5 handguns. I know that number went up today, BZ, for the LA arrests. I had it somewhere. I want to say it was closer to 10 illegal firearms. Let's see. Oh, but don't worry about it. Mayor Bass has everything under control, and priorities are being handled.
Especially a graffiti that is just blanketing a number of blocks, has been extensive. We are 1 year away from the World Cup. This is about beautifying our city and bringing our city together. And so I am calling on business leaders, community leaders, faith leaders to come together downtown in the next few days to talk about how we are going to clean up the city.
I love this because this is the leftist government summed up. Every leftist leader, this is their government summed up. Hey, I allowed this horrific problem to take place. Now I want everybody else to deal with it, suck it up, and fix it because I need it cleaned up by the time this event that would make me look really bad happened. We saw that when the Chinese president came to visit California and Newsom, how San Francisco, a place that was littered with human feces everywhere, so bad that they had to make an app so you don't step into it. A place where rampant drug use out in the open was just everywhere, especially the Tenderloin and the downtown areas. A place where crime and violence was out of control. But the Chinese president came, so they had that shit cleaned up in 72 hours. And now the largemouth bass here is saying, hey, we let the riots get out of control. I know that. That's why we put up a curfew. We let it go to shit, right? Because we didn't want to upset the illegals, because why would we want to do that? But now I want civic leaders, religious leaders, all you other people to come together and clean up my fucking mess, because the World Cup's coming and I got to get on TV, brother. Plain and simple. Cosmic Bod. What the actual fuck is the sign language guy? He's about to bust a rhythm, isn't he? He's into it, man. Hey, I know we always look for the funny and stuff, but
obviously city workers are already out there removing the graffiti, but this is so.
Remind me, was it LA? I forget, a couple years ago. Remember, it was during COVID. They had a woman that was doing sign language for one of the big cities, New York, LA, or whatever. And after like her second or third time, they finally got word that she had no fucking idea what she was doing, and she faked the entire thing.
Extensive. It's going to take community-wide involvement. We had launched a program called Shine LA a couple of months ago in preparation for the World Cup, and now we are called on to direct that citywide. We need people from all over the city to come to downtown and to help with this effort, especially of the graffiti that is just blanketing.
So ridiculous. They could have controlled this. They could have limited this. They could have stopped this. But as I said before, they want this. They want it. The problem is they're looking at the polling. Americans still overwhelmingly want the deportations to continue. It is looking worse and worse for the Democrats, especially the leaders like Newsom, Bass. Hold on. There was a guy with Obama who did the same thing. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing how these people sneak through. I mean, I guess if you can't do American Sign Language, you can't really like screen them, but you would think they would have somebody they know could do it, kind of screen these people. But I saw this too, and we're going to wrap up. I'll try to get into some funny shit. I saw this. It says, tip to anyone protesting in LA and Tig. I spoke about Libya earlier in Benghazi. Tig was there. Tip to anyone protesting in LA, if you see a National Guard soldier with this patch, it means that the job they have in the Army is basically a park ranger. They have very little training and can be considered soft targets. Oh, I love the comedy. I love the comedy that comes out in this. Oh,
Representatives behind me.
By Mayor Bass. Listen to why she says the Nike store got looted in the LA riots.
A week ago, everything was peaceful in the city of Los Angeles and in all of the representatives behind me in their cities as well. Things began to be difficult on Friday when raids took place. And it's important that I begin there because that is the cause of the problems that have happened in the city of Los Angeles and other cities. This was provoked by the White House. The reason why, we don't know. A week ago, everything was peaceful in the city of Los Angeles and in all of the representatives behind me.
Sorry, yeah, it was white supremacy. That's the reason the Nike stores got related. Sorry, I was checking over on the protesters. There's definitely a couple of hundred of them. They're definitely much. I can't identify where this is. I'm actually looking at how the rights for news to share works to see if I can share it live now, but I can't. I will work on that that may be something the network has to work on because it'd be good to have a news outlet that we can go with live footage. There we go. Let's clean up here. Let's finish up. By the way, if you want to laugh your ass off, Greta got arrested by the Israelis and then deported. They sent her to France, and then France sent her to Sweden, Switzerland. I don't know where the hell she's from, one of those countries. I love the fact that they thought that their little boat flying the Palestinian flag was just going to roll up into Gaza and start offloading food. By the way, somebody said in chat or in X earlier today, but at least she's on the right side of history. And I said, no, you fucking dingbat. I don't think I said fucking dingbat, but I said, no. She is on the side of Greta trying to maintain relevancy. That's all she's doing. She's not, by any stretch of the imagination, a good person. She's a swindler. She just wants to be in front of every single camera that she can get in front of. That's who she is. That's what she is. And that's what she will forever be. I got one more video here. You wonder who's out there protesting with the illegals right now? I'll tell you right now, it's these folks. This is what we're up against.
How is this a peaceful protest if there's nothing to do? No, it's not. How do y'all as white people feel about stopping a black woman from going to work?
Oh no, not work. I care so much.
So you don't care about stopping black people from going to work? Look at this line that you guys are causing. I'm not causing no.
Don't you just want to slap him right in the fucking mouth? Look at the face, and they're smiling at her. They're just so fucking full of themselves. Oh, so when you're arguing with people online, that's who you're arguing with. When you see all these white saviors walking around with all these protesters, that's who you're fucking dealing with. Shitheads like that. That guy has never even come with. This is the closest he's probably ever come to a female in his entire life, even though he wears his hair like one. It's absolutely incredible. Folks, that's it for me. It is 9 p.m. on the nose. I'd like to thank our friends over at KLRN Radio for simulcasting us onto X. Also, check out the other great shows on SHR Media. I mentioned BZ's show already tomorrow night, but just for good measure, BZ Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. Mission Ready Men also Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast. The Reaver of Common Sense hosted by Jersey Joe. Monday and Fridays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 on the East Coast. And of course, you can catch me Monday and Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast. You also may soon see a Sunday show pop up from a good friend of ours, so stick around for that. I'll see you Monday. Have a great rest of your week. Stay safe, have a cocktail, and enjoy.